Let us continue playing Jade Cocoon. When we last left off, we had finished a beetle forest, and thus, we must now learn the story.
The story of creation is handed down from Gi, the great Nagi prophet of old. It tells of the origin of all that lives in the land of peril.
And we want to hear this story. Hear the story of creation.
Elrum released his minions, the divine spirits, unto peril. He spake, "Thou shalt not become what presides over life." And so they spent days bringing life to the forest and giving names unto themselves. And then one day, a spirit made up its mind to create a beast in its own image. Elrum warned, "That creature is the beast of knowledge, and it will someday bring temptation upon you. Thou shalt not associate with it."
And they did.
The divine spirit so promised, and gave birth to the beast of its own image. Such was the birth of man, the beast of knowledge, as told by the prophet Gi. As the sands of time flowed on, the beasts bore children, and so continued to multiply. Soon a fateful day came to the forest. One of the divine spirits fell in love with the daughter of man, and so the promise was at last broken. Elrum punished the divine spirit for its sin by transforming it into a beast. Descendants of that divine spirit dwell still in the forest, and sometimes they reveal themselves to us. The Birdman, Kikinok, as mentioned in the folk tales of peril, might be referring to this spirit.
Okay, so that's why we have to seek him out. However,
We should seek out Kikinok,
Yes, we
the
know we're doing
legendary
that.
Birdman.
I'm actually going to see.
Into the dragonfly forest.
Yes.
But be warned, an average cocoon master is no match for the denizens within.
Well, we're rank
And
5.
be sure to ask the old gravekeeper about the legends.
And we will do that.
He is the storyteller
And you've already
of
told us
Cyrus,
this.
and should
I'm
know
gonna have to
much
check
about the fables of old.
configuration settings and see if I can adjust this. I don't mind listening to the story. I'm kind of always interested in learning what the plot is to things, but auto message subtitles. Yeah. Alright, fine, we'll deal with that. It's not a problem. Right, what we want to do now is have a go at merging.
Doing divine magic is very tiring. Ugh. After performing a purification, I feel so sluggish.
We have some more purification for you to do. Yes, please.
Our enemy we love, and for the tormented we pray.
I might turn...
Grant us, the beasts of knowledge, the power to touch the spirit.
I might have to turn that off for similar reasons, actually. I'm going to have to listen to that every time. Especially if it's going to be every merger. Which I have a feeling it will be. Right. Anyway, we have quite a lot of considerations to go for. Now, we can make some fairly interesting combinations with what we've got so far. I will say that I'm probably not going to go too overboard with this. Main reason for it is that I find that fusing monsters of the same type generally works better than fusing monsters of two different types. So, for example, two Mardregs fusing together comes up with a very normalised sort of match. I know they lose magic attack and defence, but generally that's okay. Also, the other reason for this... yeah, we don't. No, don't merge those. Another reason for this is that it doesn't transfer multiple weaknesses. What I will tend to do, if I'm going to have monsters of double types, and I probably will do, first off we're going to fuse these two because why not? Yep, merge them.
O magical
Yes, you're going to do
beings
that
who
every single
serve us,
time.
merge thy flesh to gain yet greater power. Reveal to us thy heroic form.
Which is a level 2 water monster. Now, we fuse those two, but actually that's going to be part of something else we're going to fuse. Now, generally, for the, yeah, that's fine. Not just yet.
Well, good luck. I'll be here waiting.
I'm sure you will be. Right. Let's try this again. If I go to subtitle... Right, that in theory should now turn off the speech and also the autoplay, and if I go to instant I should be able to bypass it to a certain extent. That should do it, I think. I would hope so, anyway. Yeah, I can skip now. Right, perform Nuggy magic. Right, first thing we're going to consider now is with our fused level 2 water monster, we want to fuse it to an air monster. Notably, most probably is going to be the Squisp, but the Squasp. Just thinking about this, magic attack with magic attack. That's going to work quite well, I think. Also, and this is key, I'm fusing elements which aren't directly opposed. If you have a fire and water monster, for example, water monsters they're weak to. With this, this works against single earth monsters, single fire monsters. It kind of allows me to work around that to an extent, although it's still quite bad actually. Well, we're gonna do this. Yeah, merge them. We're now going to have a ridiculously looking thing. And our first ridiculous looking thing is a thing. At least this thing should have healing things. I don't know what I'm going to call this, but we're going to stick with that. Yeah, I actually want to have a look at this thing. What have we created? We've created something that looks quite ridiculous, actually. But heck, it's done. Next, we want to fuse a couple of fire monsters together. I want to fuse the Patash with a Paddle Shoe, which actually is not a major plus point, so we're not going to do that. That's not an improvement either, particularly. I can fuse these two together, though, and that would not change too much. I always seem to view it as a problem when I do that. True, it has full advantage over water monsters. It's just weak to fire and air for doing this. The other way around, though, I suppose it's strong and weak to the same enemies, so it can sort of get around it like that. I don't know, though. If I fuse the two Mardregs together, that at the very least is going to come up with a normal-ish monster, so yeah, we're going to fuse those two, at least initially. So that gives us our first level 4 monster. Now, this new Mardreg we could fuse to the Scab, which doesn't really do an awful lot, but would give it. Actually, it wouldn't gain any new abilities from that, would it? But point of magic defense, point of mana, but not actually gaining an awful lot from the fusion. No, we didn't want to use those two. This, I'm probably just going to actually... Nope. If you use those two together, that does pretty much the same thing as the last one. Gives it a lot more magical attack, a lot more magical defense. Still has the fire attack. Becomes fire and earth aligned. Looks very weird. This is a little tricky. We're gonna definitely though. I know I said it was a bad move, but we're gonna fuse these two anyway because meh. Combine the two battle shoes. Nope. We do want to combine these. Yes. Because that gives it a free level up. Yep, this is panel 2. Right, let's just now just see how we're doing with this. Rearrange. So we have this thing, which is our water air attacker. That can probably go back there. Then we have the Mardreg. Which is a fairly good attacker, really. But if we take the Earth monster with us, that gives us all the elements shown. And it's not a bad thing to train, really, so we'll stick with that. This means if I fuse these 3 monsters into each other, I can see what I can come up with that will replace the Makambu. So, merge you first of all with that, which actually provides quite an interesting little change. Becomes an armoured, scaly thing. But actually, 46 additional hit point. First from the seems to be from the other point of view, actually. So I'm not sure whether that's actually hold on. No. Let's do it from that point of view. So that's what's happening from the Mardreg's point of view. It's losing a point of speed, gaining magic resistance, losing some hit points. So overall, not necessarily great. It's also not leveling. But heck, we're going to fuse them. We're then going to fuse this horrific monster into the other air monster we have. For craziness! Alright, yes, we want to fuse some more. We want to fuse the Mardreg with this thing, giving it a point of attack, a hit point, and a lot else. Losing a point of speed. One of our abilities does still have the wind attack. And of course the result will be a bit like that. I suppose there's no bad thing doing this. So yes, merge those. And as you say, it is done. So we now have the Mardreg. Which... no, I think we're done with that for now. Now we've just got to consider what we've actually got. So we have a level 2 Battle Shoe, which really, I think we worked out didn't improve the Patash by any significant margin, so we'll keep that as it is. So we have... this thing is our main hitter, this thing is our main magic user, and this thing as a thing. No. We're going to stick with that. It's a horrible thing, but we're going to stick with it nonetheless, because that's what I say so. So, we're going to go options, we're going to go and keep that on, actually, but we're going to set both of those on. Right, now in theory it should keep going. Now we were asked to go and speak to let's go to the cemetery and speak to the gravekeeper. But first we're going to go to the blacksmith, where there is somebody. And there's the other guy I'm supposed to have forgotten the name of, but...
you haven't seen my foolish son, have you?
No.
I bet he's out playing pranks with that no-good Watchtower kid again. Tell him his old man said to stop playing in the forest and to come home and do his chores.
This seems like a sub-quest. So we're going to shop. Now, we can buy some things from him if we had more money. A leather headband. Let's see what we can sell. We don't need that anymore, so we can sell that. We can also sell the dagger. Which means we can now buy upgraded armor, which drops 2 of our speed but increases our attack and defense. I think for the moment we're okay with this.
Come on.
Right, I'm going to skip your conversation, and then we're going to tell your son, whose name I've clearly forgotten, that you should stop playing at the watchtower.
Huh? The Birdman of the Dragonfly Forest? Can't help you there. But let me tell you, he'd be no match for Kelmar, no matter how strong he says he is.
Well, he's a blacksmith. You'd expect him to be strong.
You idiot! That's enough already!
And apparently that's all that this conversation track's going to go to.
So, you're not gonna kill him, are you? You won't be able to get that powder if you do. Well, good luck bringing that stuff back from Kikinak. And tell me all about it when you get back. No, I just want to know what he's like.
Fair enough. That seems a little dodgy, actually, but okay. I think we got all the muggle herbs we need, so let's go to the cemetery. Where there should be somebody we can speak to, but maybe there isn't. Hello?
You know, I quite like it here. I wonder if you understand.
Well, it's in the shade, it's quiet.
When I'm here watching the forest, I need nothing else at all. Oh my, I almost forgot about the frolicking children. Their smiles are important too.
Ah, right. Let's hear the tale of the Birdman.
Once upon a time in a faraway village, there lived a woodcutter who always boasted of his strength. It is said that the woodcutter wanted to test his own strength by felling the tallest tree in the forest.
With a herring.
He hastily ventured deep into the forest in search. Meanwhile, the forest told the great tree of the woodcutter. The great tree sighed deeply, lamenting his foolishness, and he continued to sigh. And before long, the breath of the great tree became a thick and heavy fog which shrouded the forest. The woodcutter soon lost his way. He grew so tired wandering about that he soon took a short rest. Just then, sweet-smelling fluffs began to float down from above.
Fluffs?
All who would smell their sweet scent would fall fast asleep. The woodcutter couldn't help but to fall in a deep slumber, and there he lay, snoring great snores in the middle of the forest. For 3 days he slept. On the morning of the 4th day, a Birdman flew down to where he lay. He spoke to him. "I'm the strongest, you always say. One fight with me, if you may."
Huzzah!
But the
One fight.
woodcutter remained fast
oh.
asleep.
He lost.
"You can try to sleep if you must, but I shall wake you with my dust." As he spoke those words, the Birdman sprinkled a glistening white powder upon the woodcutter. With that, the woodcutter sneezed a great sneeze and jumped to his feet. The surprised woodcutter shouted, "Who on earth are you? I warn you, I am incredibly strong, and I will battle right now." The Birdman replied, "You can't defeat me, but if you do, we can be friends, and I'll share my powder with you.
I like this Birdman.
Cures all illness and turns old to new. I got it from the forest people called the Yamu." The woodcutter tried to grab the Birdman, But the woodcutter had been asleep for 3 days. He was too hungry to hold on. With one flap of his mighty wings, the Birdman blew the woodcutter all the way back to the village. The woodcutter told the villagers all about the strange Birdman, but not a soul believed him.
Except you, because you're
From
telling
that
the story.
day on, the woodcutter never again boasted of his strength.
You know what? I quite like that story. Ultimately, it's not very useful.
Understand? You must never think of harming it. It is always... There are many other tales with the Birdman. It seems they all say that he hates fire. Perhaps he was barbecued in a previous life.
Must not look at bucket of chicken. Ah, it looked. Alright. Well, we would go through the second story, but you know what, we're 20 minutes in. I'm not going to get a lot done this video, so apologies. We're going to actually listen to...
Many years ago, the children of the village used to come to hear my stories. You were one of them.
And then Save returned.
You always played the flute, even when you were a little boy. Even the... And now? Do you still like the flute? If so, then be strong and gentle like the flute.
That seems like a good plan. We're going to go with a legend of Gehenna.
This is a tale of the kingdom of Gehenna that stretched across these lands long ago. Once upon a time, Prince Menek, son of King Karis, set out with his vassals to hunt in the forest. But in the forest they were enveloped by a thick fog, and the prince lost his way.
I sense a pattern here.
Wandering aimlessly about, he happened upon a marsh from which grew an enormous tree. Thereupon he heard the sound of sobbing, but he knew not from where. He found a maiden sitting all alone. She was weeping by the marsh. "I am Gehenna. I just buried my mother here in the marsh of Uban," she said. And then she looked up at the prince. He was overwhelmed by her beautiful eyes. The maiden stole his heart that day. It was truly a fateful meeting. Thereafter, the prince made frequent trips into the forest. Undoubtedly, he was paying visits to the maiden. The maiden had a strange power. She could talk to the insects and trees. Before long, there began a terrible rumor that the prince's heart had been stolen by a witch. One day the maiden spun silk from fairy cocoons and wove it into a beautiful cloth for the king. But the brilliance of that cloth cast a shadow upon the kingdom. The king was so enthralled by the fairy silk that he sent his soldiers into the forest, where they ravaged for fairy cocoons. The fairies, still in their cocoons, were boiled alive. The king killed them so he could have their silk. The prince pleaded with his father to stop his cruelty, but the king was no longer the man he had once been. Prince Menek was charged with treason and imprisoned in the king's deepest dungeon. He was never heard from again. When the maiden learned of the prince's death, she cursed her fate and lamented the foolishness of man. She then cast herself away into the marsh where her mother lay. As she started to drown, a voice from nowhere whispered to her, "I am Elrum. I shall grant you your wish. Tell me what you want," said the voice. The maiden told Elrum all that weighed upon her heart. The maiden said, "Greed bears destructive knowledge. Its wicked power shall be the end of the forest. All hope is lost. The beasts of knowledge shall never live in peace with the forest." The one light of hope who I so loved has perished at the hands of the beasts. I now go to where my love Menek awaits. Thereupon Elrum spoke again. So you claim that your true love was torn asunder by the greed and hatred of the beasts of knowledge? When light is swallowed up by darkness, I shall unleash ruin upon the land, returning all to the nothingness from whence it came. I have a firm grip upon the darkness in your heart. From that day forward, demons appeared in the forest, terrifying all they came upon. And the kingdom of Gehenna fell to ruin by the swarms of Onibubu, locusts of apocalypse.
And they're the things that attacked us earlier.
Demons that haunt the forest now are the beasts, spawned by the greed in man's heart.
And thus the Cocoon Masters arose, I imagine. No explanation of a tale beyond that. Right. I guess then we're at the end of the video pretty much. So what I will be doing is heading off towards the Dragonfly Forest, and then actually we do want to save somewhere. We shall enter Garai's home, save, and then next time we'll be heading to the Dragonfly Forest. So until then.